Good morning. Recently I've been learning about Jacob Lawrence. He's an African American painter who came to have great success during the 20th century. In fact, Jacob Lawrence became the first African American painter to really receive recognition and have success in the mainstream art culture. He was the first African American painter to be represented by a New York commercial gallery from 1941, continuing on. Now, he really produced amazing works from 1941 all the way up, from the late 1930s, all the way up until into the 90s when he developed lung cancer, and he passed away in the year 2000 when he was 82 years old. Well, last fall, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York was finally able to reopen. And when they did, they opened with an exhibition called Jacob Lawrence, The American Struggle. It was a very powerful exhibition. Well, it turned out that there was a lady living there in New York. She was a nurse, and she saw this exhibition there at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And when she saw the paintings, she thought, I have a painting that kind of looks like that. She came home and she started looking closer at the painting, and when she and her 20-year-old son really began examining it, taking it out of the frame, what they found was a signature, Jacob Lawrence. On the back, there was taped to it an article back from 1996 on the life of Jacob Lawrence. She had received this painting from her mother-in-law, who had given it to her as a gift. The more she looked at it, the more she thought, this is just like the paintings in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This must be an original artwork of Jacob Lawrence. She called the Metropolitan Museum and she said, I really need to speak to somebody. I think I have discovered an original by Jacob Lawrence. Well, nobody called her back. You can only imagine how often they get these kinds of calls that somebody thinks they have something really of value. So she called a second day, and no one called her back. She called a third day, no one called her back. So finally, she got on the back of her son's motorcycle, and they went riding across New York, there in Manhattan, to go to the Met. When she came in, she found the young man who was there at the information desk, and she grabbed him and said, I'm calling every day. Nobody calls me back. The young man said, I'll go get someone. And so he did, brought someone back. And this nurse, who wants to remain anonymous, told her story to some of the people who worked there at the Met. And when she got through telling the story, that evening, there were three people from the Met who came to her apartment. And upon examining the painting, they all realized, yes, it was an original by Jacob Lawrence. And it was a part of the present exhibition that was showing at the museum. Well, they now have the painting. They've taken care to make sure it's refurbished. The display, or this exhibition, has now moved on to Seattle, as in their Museum of Art there, and now this painting has joined it, The American Struggle. It is estimated this painting is worth in the six figures. They don't know just how high it will go. I know this nurse really does love and appreciate her mother-in-law for such an incredible gift. It had been in her home all along, and she just didn't know it, right underneath her nose. How often that's the case? We have such great beauty, and there are things of such great value that are right in front of us, and sometimes we fail to appreciate it. It doesn't have to always be monetary. Maybe it's just of the sentimental value. But we all have those things that are truly of great value that if we're not careful, we start to overlook and we miss. I hope this weekend you'll take the time to appreciate the beauty and those things of great value right in front of you and give God thanks for how blessed you have been. Have a great weekend.